E-Y-E-S. Mine eyes, right? That's the spelling, M-I-N-E-E-Y-E-S, like the battle hymn of the Republic. Mine eyes are seen a coming. Okay. If I go to a restaurant and I say, will you put some mine eyes on it, please? Now what's mine eyes? Mayonnaise or somewhere else. I was down there in the football game in Texas, and an old white girl was kicking her legs up in the air, and she was talking about fart, 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 team fart, 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 team fart. I said, well, they got some kind of secret weapon here. Yeah, she was saying F-I-G-H-T, but the way she was saying fight sounded like she was saying fart. You understand? Fart, 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 team fart. You want a fart, boy? Okay. The Southern white man has been influenced by Ebonics. And so if you want to know why the Southern white man don't sound like white people everywhere else, he'll tell you, memorize me, boy. Okay? Southern Ebonics don't sound like Ebonics in New York. Okay? But there's a thread that makes Ebonics the same. What are we talking about? When you talk about Ebonics, I've given you first some structural evidence that Ebonics is not English in its phonology. But I said in the beginning that all language begins as a thought. And so when you pose the question, what are the common kinds of experiences and common intersecting events in the lives of slave descendants of African origin? When you talk about the hell, degradation, and oppression, it don't matter whether you down south or up south, the common kind of experience is that you have been beat, kicked, raped, robbed, used, abused, made a tool, a fool for 400 years. Ebonics then has to do with a deep structure of experience, a thought process that goes with an experience base. The experience of A being originally from Africa is one part of it, but even when you have perfect mimicry skills, you know, a lot of our people will tell you, and Brother Maddox has been talking about them betcha by golly wild niggas that I'm an individual. I came alongside the slave ship. I didn't come with the rest of them. They're my color, but they're not my kind. And I believe that basically the African-American problem needs to be understood within certain kinds of sociological parameters. Okay, them kind of mimicry skills, that's acting speech. O.J. Simpson could act. He had good mimicry. But if you see that letter that he wrote, his writing ability and his knowledge of the grammar of English had not gone beyond 3rd or 4th grade. I'm not the one saying that. The man that wrote the article in the paper analyzed his grammar. That note that he wrote when he was going down the freeway, just before he went on the freeway, okay, he wrote a note, and the man read this note, but he cleaned it up. When you look at the real note that was written, the man was an orator in terms of his ability to do broadcasting. He could mimic standard English, but he never grasped the concept of the grammar of English in terms of his edited abilities in English. So he never could write a full English sentence, okay? What I'm pointing out to you is that even the Bryant Gumbels, who have this oratory or this mimicry skill, have a common base from which they experience America as a people. And so that base that is there means that just as if there's oppression going on, there's an oppressor, and at the other end of the spectrum there's somebody receiving the oppression, and we refer to that person as the oppressed. If there's exploitation going on, there's an exploiter, and if there's an exploiter and they're doing it to somebody, the person that they're doing it to is the exploited. If there's a lease, there's a person who owns it that is the lessor, And then there's somebody that's getting title or getting possession through this agreement, that's the lessee. If there's a slave master, there's somebody that is the victim of this slavery or enslavement. That person is the slave. In the deep structure then, I'm trying to get across to you a notion of there being opposites. The law of opposites say that the people who are at one end never become the same as the other. There is then those people who can mimic Ebonics, but they in the deep structure can never be the same. Genetically, the white man's thought process is not the same as that of the slave descendant of African origin. And when I say genetic, I'm saying the genesis of the differences is not the same. Okay? The genesis of the white man's language, okay, has its origin in what makes him different. And so when we speak of Ebonics, we're saying that there are some systematic rule-governed patterns that relate to the African continuum that distinguish our language from that of the white man in America. And with that, I want to again express my thanks and appreciation for being invited. I will open up for questions because, again, I didn't have my props to make the presentation that I could have made to give you all of the proof that I would have liked to share with you of all of these things. And I hope I get invited back and be able to share some more with you.
Brothers and sisters, do you have any questions for Dr. Ernie Smith? We have just a little time. Attorney and Judge Alton Maddox had to leave. Dr. Marcus Garvey Jr. had made a special request that he be present over at Harvest Manor. So he has gone over to Harvest Manor, and if you will just be patient with us for a few moments and polite, we'll be able to take a few questions, give proper respect to our esteemed scholar, Dr. Ernie Smith, and to other members of the family before leaving. So do you have any questions? If you have questions, please come to this aisle if you're in this area, and this aisle if you're in this area. We can only take a few. Dr. Ernie Smith, give him a black hand again, brothers and sisters. One of the foremost scholars among us in linguistics, in speech. And you see what I mean when I said he was heavy, you know what I'm saying?